All right, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's just another day where the dollar just finds a way to go up in value. You just can't fight the Fed. Do not fight the Fed, and that's exactly what's going on there. They just keep on taking it up and taking it up, and at this point in time, we're just going to just watch the math. The math does a fine job of telling us where it's going. As you can see, there's the yen this morning on the Chicago quant. I'm sorry, not the Chicago quant. The J4X. You can see it here. It's just showing lots of strength. In the sense of the dollar against the yen. And we'll take a look at the Swiss. Same situation over in the Swiss. Not as aggressive, but it's there. They just refuse to let it go. There's some drive at this point. I don't know. It's demand for the states, for the products in the U.S., or if it's just literally the central bank deciding that that's where they want it to be. I mean, Mrs. Yellen has some really strange ideas, and Mr. Powell just seems to go along with it. So we just watch, and we hear that there's going to be some type of executive order that will really slow the supply chain, because he's really trying to, they're trying to do this socialist thing. So I mean, they're just trying to slow everything down here in the States. So we'll see. It's that if the currencies themselves are reflective of the coming calamity, chaos, however you want to describe it, it's not good. Let's put it that way. We've seen oil, which really strange with the oil the way it is. Our math has just shifted all over the place with the oil. We'll show you that in a few minutes. Let's see, where are we at this point? We got everything up there. It looks like to me, yeah, looks good. And so it's just whoop, there we are. Minimize that. There we go. And so let's just take a look at the Swiss. You can see, what is this? 3-month highs, something like that. Let's just move up the J4X and just take a look and see. Yeah, so we've seen these numbers in late March, early April. So basically, it's literally a whole quarter now. We're seeing here. Let's see if we can get that adjusted. Where'd it go? There we are. Okay, that seems right. I'm just double checking to make sure we're seeing everything here. And then let's put it over on Chicago Quant. It'll be the same situation. You'll see the strength in the dollar. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Hinky Ashy is hiding it a little bit. It's still showing the strength here. And you can see we are moving into a negative bar now. It wasn't that way earlier. And you can see our white line is trying to break down. Same thing here on the J4X. You see a white line is trying to break down in there. So that's the action we see. Again, we're just going to follow the numbers like we usually do and see what this whole story plays out in the end. Let's jump over to the euros. Seems like a quiet day here today. Let's see, euro. There it is. And there's the euro. Let's see how she looks on, and that's kind of coming off its lows. You can see that. That's right there. Let's put it up on J4X. Right there. There we go. Oh, look at that. It's moving up even more. Oh, that's right. We had the numbers come out too. Let's see what the stocks are doing from that. I forgot about that. And let's go over here. Whoa. Okay. That's a wild move on silver. Let's see if gold has the same situation. No, not at all. Alright, so let's just give it a refresh on the silver. But I want to go take a look at the stock indices first. Yep, stock indices are moving at the highs of the day. Same thing, that's the S&P 500. Same thing with the NASDAQ. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average are all pretty much very, very firm in there. And let's go back to that silver and see what's going on there. That's silver there. Okay, they're taking out that tick. What did I see? Is it crude? No. Gold? No. We saw something in there that... Maybe it was copper? Something had a wild tick in it. You can see there's a 30-year. So the news came out and it's having no real effect when it comes to any of this action in here. Huh. Fascinating. All right, let's see if we can just make it a more short-term view at the moment. Open. I'll give you just a quick look at the intraday of the stock indices and see how they jumped. 3Q. There we are. And here it comes. Yeah, there we are, like that. And this is the 93 tick. We'll just show you the 93 tick. You can see this there. And so the news came out right. Let's bring this over. Scrunch it up a little bit. News came out right here. There it is. Right here. The news came out right there. And Giannis used to talk about that, how to trade the fundamentals. So they had to sell it for the first, 5 or 6 seconds. Then they said, oh, no, that's okay, that's fine. And then they started to lift it up. And that's what they've done, they've lifted it up. And just a little back and fill now. Maybe it'll take a second swipe at the downside. And that's the way the NASDAQ 100, or on Dukascopy they refer to as the Tech 100, that's what it used to be, it was the Tech 100. And we'll get rid of this and go back to the currencies now. And I think I might put that down lower so I can see it at the same time and let you know if something's happening. All right, back to the currencies, and you can see that move, whatever it was, stopped on the euro and is now starting to back off again. Let's see what they're doing with the cable. Cable trying to perk up a little bit. Looks like it's just about up a few ticks. It's off its lows. We kind of think that the support area is in the 38s, the low 38s, high 37s, that type of thing. We think they're going to find a way to bounce it in there. I would like to see, obviously, the daily get up through the 0 line. And obviously we would like to see the weekly, the white line on the weekly, at least start to go through the time manifold there. So, all right, now that's the cable. And cable's been, kind of moving along with everything else. Everything is being sold in the pairs universe, and the dollar is the dollar is moving up, just the way it is. King dollar. We're not used to that. King dollar being the king. All right, now let's jump over to the Turkish lira. And daily sell for 3 days, as you can see here, against the dollar against the Turkish lira. You can see the tightness that has occurred here with the time manifold. And this is still holding up in a weekly with not much of a problem. Now let's drift over to the euro against the Turkish lira. Right there. And same situation in daily sell for a few days here. And you can see this is flirting with the 0 line. Right now it's at minus 0.0010. That's plot 1 in the box there. Now it's 11. Minus 0011. Now 0010 again. Kind of just flirting underneath there by a millimeter. Just not even a micrometer. Just an incredibly small amount. And it just keeps on ticking and playing with it. Alan, how you doing? I was caught up on the NFP. Yeah, I don't blame you. It looks like it took the stock indices up, and now they seem to be just slowly whittling it down again. So, well, but I guess if nothing else, it's a constant, there's some primary things that are going on with our government at the moment. One is they want to borrow enormous trillions, just borrow it, and spend it, borrow it and spend it. And the country's not interested in doing that at all, but they don't really care. The second of all is to do that, on the government itself to do that, they need the interest rates to stay low. So we see, let's just go over there again. You can see where the 30-year is. If we can get the mouse, there it is, right. The right mouse, there it is. You see the 30-year right there. Just no matter what noise is coming on, what inflation is coming on, they had run it up higher. It's kind of got sold off a little bit from the news, but yeah, the Fed will just come in and buy the bonds themselves and push it up. And so that's the 30-year, and let's take a look at the 10-year. And so for the government to spend all the money that they want to spend, they must fight to keep the interest rates low. And you can see that right here. Same situation. They're fighting to keep it low. So that's the reason why you see interest rates dropping in the United States. You see inflation increasing, and at the same time, you see the stock indices and the inflation of assets just exploding on the upside. So it's all lined up with the attempt to borrow. That's what so it's making it king dollar, exactly. No matter, the dollar is king again. Yeah, exactly. And the objective is to constantly try to prove to somebody that interest rates are not going to go up. That's what it comes down to. Trying to convince the public that and obviously the bond traders, doesn't really matter. Federal Reserve will buy those bonds themselves, and that's what's really freaky. We talked about it a couple of days ago. It's like, it's trying to drive without having GPS anymore. I mean, I can drive. I don't use GPS at all, but everybody around me does GPS. They just automatically plug it into their screen or whatever, on the dashboard, and they follow the GPS. And so that's what this is all about. The king dollar, to a great extent, is because the Biden administration is fighting to show that inflation means nothing. And then that gives them the carte blanche to go and borrow, $4 trillion and spend $4 trillion. That's pretty much what they want to do. They're pretending that they're going to increase taxes that'll have an effect. But obviously, when you take that much capital, it's going to have a hard time growing an economy. So then money will not go that way. But the Fed can go and borrow more money again, and just do it more. Even if they have to borrow it from themselves and float bonds by themselves and then buy those bonds. And that's the insanity of it all. You got to wonder, when is this event going to come to some type of reality? That's the thing that really has got my eye. When is it going to come to reality? And you can see here, looking on J4X, you see it. You see the euro trying to make new lows, make lower lows, and we're making lows that we haven't seen since, what is that? Since March of 2021. Over 4 months ago. It's going after those lows in here. So yeah, shake your head, scratch your head, be confused, because we all just look at it and feel the same way. They are using houses and stocks as inflation sponges. Yeah. Well, did you see that BlackRock and a lot of the other investment funds are buying tons of property, houses, and I guess they're going to create rentals out of them. And where else are we seeing? We're seeing some of the hedge funds doing the same thing. They're stepping up, and they've gone past buying the mortgages. Now they're buying the actual assets. And saying this out loud makes me just want to just shake my head and go, please bring me back to reality. So I think it's a good way of describing it. Alan, that's a very good way. They have sponged up real estate. That's what it really comes down to. I can't tell you, I get so many letters in the mail every other day about buying property, since I have a lot of property. I hear that over and over. Now look at this. You want to look at something that's insane? They've taken the exchanges and the brokers have changed numbers in oil. Don't understand why. I guess they're trying to pretend that they're selling it. I don't know. It's one of the weirder things I've seen. Let's just do a Control R. Did that do it? Let's try that again. There it is. Look at that. We had a green yesterday on this. We had a green on that. And it's gone. they've changed the opening, they've changed the high, they've changed the low. I mean, the data, they've changed it. I've gone and tried to draw data from, other ways. They've changed it. They just changed it. What we had, matter of fact, I think I can probably show you how we sent it out last night beforehand. Let's see. So, there's one right there. Let's see if we can find it and open it up. And it's really irritating. To see that. I mean, it's just the amount of. Let's see. That's the morning. So it's not even reflecting out there. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see. That's PM. So we'll see if we can hunt that down. But in the end result is this was a green line on one of the charts I sent out. And this was in a buy. We talked about it. I said it closes in a buy. You look at where it closed and then add $1.20 or so to it. And instead they closed it in a sell. And now I have no control over the data feed. This is the exchanges and this is the brokerage that sends this data out. So I'm just shaking my head at it. It just seems to be so unrealistic. And they took it up. I saw the 76.22, but now they're trying to pretend that the opening and the low have been changed so dramatically that 75.90. We had yesterday of an opening of somewhere around 75.10, and we had a low of 74 something. Matter of fact, you can see it there. It says 74.60. And it has a close of 75.23. And so what they did is they altered the June close. That's what they did. They altered the June close to mess with it. So I just shake my B&B businesses. Yeah, I have a friend doing that. They're restoring a big barn and putting 2 offices in it that can be turned into apartments. It's that is the we see asset inflation. We're looking at asset inflation every day. At the same time, we're seeing 30-year bonds being bought when we see inflation. We see 10-year bonds being bought when we see inflation. It's unique, that's for sure. We are in unique times, and we try to guide you through it better than most, and that's for sure. Now you can see here's the metal complex, like gold, barely moving, for all the insanity. What's it, $37 off the lows for 4 days? $37. It doesn't match up to the width of action that we're seeing in a lot of the other asset classes. Russia and Saudi Arabia want to increase production. Said no. How about that? Now, Mr. Biden's administration is doing things to help them do that, which is really odd because they seem to be trying to stop us altogether from, producing oil. I don't think you can make this stuff up. I really don't. I think this is like, if I'd invent some of these crazy ideas in 2007, people would be shaking their head. But in 2021, it's the norm of the day. If I had told you these stories and said, geez, how many times have I said this too about gold and so forth? If you had told me what's going on in 2021, in 2007, where I thought prices should be would be totally different than where they are. But the one thing would be for sure is that if you ask the question, Doc, where could assets be? First of all, I would think gold would be between the 5,000, 10,000 and some type of undervalued at 3,000. But for the stocks, the blatant aggressiveness of the central banks is just amazing. You got to figure that sooner or later it's going to come to an end. I just don't know when. We'll just let the math tell us. The math always does. All right, now let's go over to the ruble. It's been showing some strength because the Russian Federation Bank is basically saying we don't see inflation as transitory. So they're raising rates. And you can see this going like that right there. You see, because Russia has the rights to Block 7 in Lebanon waters, and UAE's new best friend wants it instead. Yeah, I heard that they're going after that. I did hear that story. Well, you can see here, the ruble is moving back up, and you can see from that daily buy, the volatility signal, and then the daily buy, and you can see the weekly. After all those weeks, you know, it's moving. The white line is heading towards the zero line, and the you can see plot 1 is minus 0.04. It's really tight, and the plot 4 is minus 0.08. So it is very close. Would take nothing to drive this thing right through. Hey, middle age, how you doing? I still want to get long gold and silver when the weekly ever crosses for. I agree. I hear you. You would think that there would be a pop out of it, you know. I hear you. I mean, can they keep this thing in the low teens and mid teens? I doubt it. You know, for gold, for silver, can they keep it in the mid 20s? You know, I really do doubt it. You just have to believe that sooner or later, reality has to catch up again. That's why we watch J4X and we watch, you know, Chicago Quant together. We try to watch the reality, you know. You just you have to assume the reality will catch up sooner or later. All right, let's take a look at now, you know, here's something. You know, we watched the South African Rand, and it was trading very well against the metals complex. No doubt about that. And then all of a sudden, when the king dollar gets nuts, all of a sudden it gets very dicey, you know, it's nowhere near. Look at this thing's rising, and we have gold rising also. It's not supposed to do that. So the dollar strength, the objective of what the Fed wants, the Fed is getting. They want that dollar super strong. Hey, there you go. FR33, howdy. I'm here for the politics. Here for the politics. I'm here for the markets. You know, we know that the politics drive the markets. I mean, that's for sure. And Mr. Biden is doing some of the stranger things we've seen in a while. So, yeah, I mean, the politics is right in front of you. You're seeing the dollar roar and be king dollar or something we've not seen this blatant in a long time. And it's, I guess it's because of the politics of it. Mrs. Yellen and Mr. Biden is forcing Mr. Powell to knock interest rates as low as possible so they can go and borrow $4 trillion just to spend. That's what it is. It's $4 trillion to spend. I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, that's what it is. And there's that silver again. And silver's actually trying to roll over now. It's still in the daily buy, but you know, I mean, we can't get this thing. It was up in the 28s went into the weekly sell. Now it's cruising around in the 25s, 26s. You know, it's a hard action to see. Let's see what's Alan say. It says open up NZ. Come on. Oh, you want to see what the? Let's take a look at the NZ. Let's go back to the currencies. I thought I saw it trying to jump up. Was it NZ it was jumping up? Or was it dollar, euro, yen? One of the others I think I saw pop. We'll take a look at both. I sent the charts out this morning and saw that. So there's the euro yen. Let's take a look at it. I think this is the one that was popping. Yeah. So that's popping up a little bit. You know, the strength of the dollar overall, I guess. And then let's go over to the NZD itself. Right there it is. NZD. Well, it's trying to turn up, that's for sure. Been in a daily sell since here, and it's been in a weekly sell since here. And you're getting a volatility signal today at the moment. Let's refresh that. Yeah, getting that volatility signal. You can see it lifting up. Let's see, you know, it's being aggressive, all right. let's see. Oh, okay. I was talking to Alan. Yeah, I hear you. Well, it's good to see the chart either way. All right. Last but not least, out of these currencies we usually watch, and anybody who wants to see anything, just give a yell. We'll jump over to the next Mexican peso against the dollar. That's been acting very well. You can see it's in a slow downwardly slope. You see it went into the weekly sell back here after this topping out, and it's stayed in a weekly sell. Oh, we were playing with the RSI yesterday with that. That's interesting. And let's move that down. There we are. Move this up a little bit on the weekly. Oh, that's what it is. There it is. Okay. So it went into the buy here, and then went into a sell, and backed off, and then went back into a buy, and you got a run up in here. But at the top of it, just missed it by incredible numbers. You can see that minus 0.01, and the plot 4 was minus 0.02. Just missed it by the hair. But the daily picked it up, and you can see it caught the whole move, but we were in a weekly sell. So the only way you can trade this thing is if you're trading the binaries or the options outright, one or the other, because it's a neutral when it comes to the hard delta. Then it went back into the sell right here at the top, and then it rolled over again here, but kind of lagging. And then you got some really strange action here with the green dots and the bars going. Yeah, there's some strange, King dollar has become extremely blatant. That's what it really comes down to. Let's see, what's that say? Dollar drops on employment data. Not enough, obviously. Let's just take a quick look again. That's a headline I see. Let's just take a quick look at it. And it did. You can see that rally that it gave it in the euro. Let's see if the cable has gone plus out of it all. Yes, the cable is plus out of it. So it's holding up even better. But the blatant action, just the blatant action. In other words, what I mean by that is that it's being thrown in our faces to look at. That's what the problem is, and that's the irritating part, is that it's okay for them to do certain things, but geez, do they have to just throw it in our face? Can't they just do it quietly to the side and then slowly build momentum? So June payroll, big beat, 850,000 jobs added, smashing expectations as unemployment rate rises. Good Lord, rates went up. Alright, so let's take a look at that a little bit closer. So, after several months of major payroll disappointments, the Bureau of Labor Statistics finally realized it has to come up with a strong number. And it did. It just, yeah, I hear you. Moments ago, when it reported that in June, the U.S. added 850,000 jobs, well above the 720 expected, and almost 50% more than last month of 583, in a welcome sign that the chronic labor shortage may finally be ending. Yes, a question immediately emerged. While the establishment survey shows a gain of 850, the household survey shows the number of employed was actually down by 18,000. Oh, great. So as Bloomberg Chris, whoever writes, the question for me is why the big discrepancy between the household survey showing a decline in employment and the payroll figure showing a pickup in jobs growth. Other data include the ADP survey of private sector payrolls earlier this week suggested a strengthening in job market. Okay. So that's what they're looking. That's why they put that snarky statement on there about that they realize they need to make it go. Middle Age says silver trying to come to 2650. I guess baby steps, laugh out loud. Yeah, I hear you. Let's just take a look at the metals complex again. This is a you can't, I want, now look at that. Oh yeah, look at that. Out of there, it's popped up again. And just about 10 minutes ago it was driving back down. It just goes on and on and on. How about that? Good for them. What are they doing to gold? They must be doing that to gold too. And let's give it a refresh. do we get that? There we are. There we go. Nope, that didn't do it. Let's try it one more time. There it is. Let's give it a refresh with the pointer. Yeah, so gold is trying to move back up too. I mean, towards the highs of the day. It is interesting action. It is. I don't know how else to say it. It has. If it wasn't for my math, I wouldn't be able to trade this market. I just don't. There is no fundamentals now that make any sense anymore. They just the only fundamental is probably more than anything else is that we've always said never fight the Fed, and if the Fed and they want to take this stuff up, then they're going to take it up. And we put up gold on the J4X. Let's see what's going on there. And the stock market's reaching up again. Let's take a look at silver on the J4X. Yeah, so out of all the fundamentals you can trust, the one that's very clear is never fight the Fed. Don't fight the central banks. If they say that's what they want, that's what they're going to get. And there's nothing, normally you could have, politicians basically, telling them, stop what you're doing, don't interfere in the markets. But in these times, the politicians want to borrow $4 trillion. And so if they want to borrow $4 trillion, it's definitely going to make things wilder and wilder. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So, anyhow, that is what it is. So, let me just see who's there. Hello, hello. Okie doke. Just junk. Alright, so, yeah, let's see. We looked at all the currencies. Anybody have a currency you want to see? If not, don't worry about it. We'll find something to look at. Let's see. I don't fight your weekly quant. Yeah, I hear you. I try not to fight it either. Sometimes I get on the edge of it, but yeah. In this case here, they're just taking this stuff up. And the stories you read, the stories I read and see the money's committed, you can see it. The hedge funds are buying houses. They're just stepping up and buying houses. And BlackRock is stepping up and buying properties also. They're just buying properties now. I mean, it's like, at one time, the norm would have been go buy mortgage bonds because, if they think these things are going to run, then you just flip them, not be messy with actual physical delivery. You just buy the bonds, and then you watch the interest rates drop from the demand side of it. And next thing you know is you get a profit. And instead now what we're seeing them actually step up and buy those properties, which tells me there's no assets left. We're coming towards the end of all the assets to purchase. So in other words, they bought bonds. They bought trillions of bonds. Then they bought corporate bonds. Then from corporate bonds, they started buying junk bonds. In other words, companies that didn't have much ratings. And then at the same time, because of all that buying, they bought stocks because interest rates were dropping. And so stocks were competing with the interest rate sector, which made sense because they're both assets. Just one is less valued versus another, that's all. Then they got to the point where we've been banging against all-time highs. And so now they're buying stocks, they're buying bonds, and now they're buying properties. But why can't they get gold like over 2,000 or silver over 60 or something like that? I don't. The things that you would think that they would buy, they're not buying. So it goes a consistency of that's what I say, that it's blatant in front of our faces. They're doing this stuff. Let's see, Alan says they're buying them in joint venture with company like BNB. Right, exactly. And it's a worldwide purchase as office vacate. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. They're just buying assets, and they'll hold them, and they'll rent them for whatever price, and they'll create, before you know it, they'll be creating some type of
what do they call those things? Not associations. What a condominium is actually the condominiums on the real estate side are governed by the Securities Exchange Commission. So it's an actual natural thing for them to do. It is worldwide at this point. It's crazy. All right, let's drift over to, let's see, where do we drift next to? We drift over to, we did the gold, natural gas. Natural gas has been kind of interesting. It's been real sideways here for the last 3 or 4 days. We went into the sell, but it hasn't really gone down. We've been in a weekly buy for, what is that, like 11 weeks now or something like that? Ever since like early April. So they've been holding up there pretty well. Just the way oil is pretty much higher up also, and in a sell. So you got natural gas in a daily sell. You've got crude oil in a daily sell, but they're both in weekly buys for a while here. You can see oil's in a weekly buy since late May. Here we are, just starting July. Copper, interesting. Copper in a sell for a couple of days. Again, there was an article. I guess it was in Zero Hedge. Let's see if I can find it. Let me go down here. It was about the electric car market. It seems like an investment that you want to be involved in, but at the same time, you have your doubts. Matter of fact, there was talk, and this is a little bit different than what I was going to show you, but there was talk that they're recommending sells in Tesla because people are buying and I kept on telling people this in the webinar and in real life. I said, hey, I keep on hearing Mercedes and BMW are doing really well in electric sales, more than Tesla. They have a much more built-in auto market and structure, and sure enough, they are, and it's starting to Tesla's starting to feel it. Now let's see if we can put this up here. It was in Zero Hedge, and it was California. Yeah, there you go. I didn't even see this one yet. Tesla delivers 200,000 cars in Q2, missing estimates. And there was a California one that was really amazing. They're just see if we can find it real quick. I did post it, so I can find it somewhere. There it is. California begs for more electricity as shifts to renewable power leaves state in the dark. Well, first of all, you can't find renewable energies in any physics book because it defies the laws of physics. So energy cannot be destroyed or created. It can be transformed. So it's potential energy, I guess they're talking about. And potential energy is just that. It's potential. It's not guaranteed. So unless you set it up into that situation, but there's a lot of problems out there, and we're seeing the markets shrug it off, and you're seeing the dollar being bought, and it's like the beat goes on. It just doesn't stop. Airbnb, yeah, I know that's exactly it, because I have a friend that's refitting a barn, big old barn, and he's doing the same thing. He's like, I can get $1,500 a week for this, and $800 for a couple of days for this, and it's costing me $10,000 to refit it. I mean, it's a good return on your assets, especially when the property is just sitting there. I mean, he's just storing old wood in it. He's got a tractor or two parked in the back of it, so he could turn the front of it into literally 2 apartments. So, no, I figured what you were talking about, the Airbnb. Yeah. As much as the technique of investing has shifted, from cryptocurrencies to Lyft and Uber and BNB. There's all these new ways of having generate income. But in the same token, the old ways are really clogged. That's where Mr. Biden and so forth are. That's what Mr. Trump did. He freed up a lot of regulation that was not necessary. and it allowed the economy to take off. The smart money is going in fresh water and farmlands. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean all of it. I mean, I have a friend that is farming. What is he farming? 5,000? No, it's more than 5,000 acres. He's farming 5,000 acres in soybean, corn, and wheat. And he's leasing property as much as he can, leasing equipment as much as he can. And same token, he's farming like another 3,000 acres of vegetables. It's in demand, you know. It's all in demand, and I got a friend that's growing a couple hundred acres of tomatoes that go to Taco Bell. You know, the fast food restaurant, and the numbers are really good this year. I mean, everywhere you go, I went to get an ice cream cone. It was $3.10 for a small. $3.10 for a small. The large was something like $5.50 or something like that. I mean, it's crazy. Numbers just keep on going up. Prices keep on going up, and people keep on complaining. And the government, you know, Mr. Biden's administration, is not listening to it at all. They have not won. They've won 3 races basically. They literally have picked up 3 seats out of the last something like 12 months. It was the presidency, and all the laws are changing now. So they're not going to be able to do that again, where they can stuff ballots. And the 2 senators in Georgia, that's not going to happen anymore. So things are going to go back, and they're governing like as if they won on landslides, and they lost House seats, and they lost everything else around the country. They have veto-proof states now of Republicans in control. It's the weirdest thing, and the economics just keep, and states are now routing around the federal government, and they're voting to like, you know, allow people to use gold for certain things, whereas before they weren't allowed. And they're sending their National Guard units down to the border to defend the border and stop the drugs and the sex trafficking, you know. And the administration just smiles and walks away. There's a real disconnect from reality here, and you have to wonder, you know, will there be another February, March of like last year, where the markets just go down, not as dramatically, because that was you know, we've explained what a majority of that was the volatility funds got trapped and went out of business, and so that's part of it. You see, the smart money is going in fresh water. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah, and so yeah, I mean, people are buying land. They're farming the land. Asset inflation is taking off. No, I hear you. And that's why we see the dollar moving the way the dollar is moving. And that is literally the whole adventure of it all at this point. Is that the dollar just doesn't give up, because money is running into the country to get invested. And I guess it's harder to invest in these same products outside the United States. Too many regulations, too much, you know, holding back. You know, that is what it is, you know. All right, let's see, where do we go from here? Let's get rid of that. Let me go back to the chat line. Here's 47. Hey, 47. Doc, can we look at GBP JPY daily and intraday? Sure. GBP JPY. We'll go over to the Forex. I don't remember that circle, but that's kind of interesting. GBP JPY. I don't remember putting that there. I guess that circle was there. Let's see, GBP JPY right there. There is, you can see it's lifting up from yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. Went into a daily buy. Yeah, it's look at that. Plot 1 was 0, 0, 0. So it's 0.000, and plot 4 was the same. And if we were in a weekly buy, we would have defined that as a daily buy, but it's not in a daily buy yet. So it's still in the sell from here. And today, you can see it's trying, now it's doing a decent job trying to get into the daily buy, but it's a little bit lower than yesterday. So it's trying to lift up. We see the weekly pressuring itself down here. So it's, you know, it's not the best of action there. Now let's jump over to the 30-minute. Let's see, where do we have 30-minute? I know we have a 30-minute park somewhere. It's right here, I think. Now, what happened? Okay, so that's there. Oh, I see, okay. There we go. Let's see if we can find the 30-minute here. Let's see, that's GBP. Let's see, make it, yeah, that's not it. Okay, so let's just make a copy of that. No. Make a copy. Let's see, where do we do this? Let's see if we can find it in here somewhere. I think it could be in this one. Here. Let's try that. I know we have a 30-minute park somewhere for you. There it is. And we were looking at it in a 4-hour at one point. That's what it was. Okay. So let's go to the GBP, JPY, and we'll move that into a 30-minute. So first of all, we'll put it in minutes. And we'll go with 30. Then we'll go back like 200 bars and change the product itself. And that's GBP, JPY, right there. Let's give it a spin. There we are. There's the 30-minute. You see it went into the buy right here, and then it was the winner chicken dinner from there. Now it's a little sloppy. Interesting, it went into the sell there, and tried to go into a buy here, but we were still no dot. Actually, it did put it, that would put it into a buy. And then it goes right back into the sell right here again. That's what it is. So this did go into a buy right there. Let's see what the numbers were. Yeah, 0.0043 on the plot one. Then it goes back into a sell. And then whatever you lost, you make back all the way down to here. So the distance from here to there is much greater than the distance from here to here. I'll just put a line on that, that's or a square. So the distance between here and there is greater, not as great as where it went into the sell from here all the way down to there. So obviously, you know, what you gave up here, you lost your profits from here, and then you made all that, if it doubled in money from there. Interesting. All right, no problem. Let's see, Doc, how is the forecast for the dollar Swiss? Yeah, you know, we like following the dollar Swiss. We're a big fan of that. Let's go take a look at that again on a daily basis. Right there, and then right there. You can see here it's trying to roll over. We had that same thing going on in J4X. Just show you there. Where are you? Right there they are. So it's trying to roll over. You can see it's trying to move down at the moment, which is a bullish sign, which means the dollar is weakening. And so you can see there, it's fighting, and the problem is that look at the weekly. The weekly's really got an issue going on there. It's not even touching the top of the time manifold right there. So this is just a dead cat bounce more than anything else at the moment when it comes to the Swiss. It's a dead cat bounce. All right, let's see, where do we go from hell? We checked out all the, take a look at the stock indices. Oh, we did, we kind of looked at them. They're all marching along like as if there's no tomorrow. They just keep on buying things. That's it. They don't know how to let go on the stock indices. They just keep on buying and pretending that there's no problems. There's no inflation. Don't look behind that curtain. Don't worry about the inflation. That's pretty much, it's kind of like an odd movie. It's more like a nightmare, I guess you could say. No problem, 47. Glad to do it. Let's see now. Let's jump over to, and we've looked at these. So, and we've looked in the Forex sector. We've looked at pretty much most. Well, didn't mean to do that, but here's NASCAD. Yeah, it's trying to lift up. We used to follow the NASCAD a lot more. Now we follow the EuroCAD much more. Let's see where the EuroCAD is right now. We didn't look at that today. See what the EuroCAD looks like. Euro, what is HUF? I forget what that is. There's Euro CAD. Wow. So they're putting some pressure on that. You can see the time manifold's trying to drop underneath. And today is Friday. This is going to be interesting. We'll see how that plays itself out. And it does seem to be that way too. Is that the currencies are, like I said, it's the dollar is enormously strong, and it's blatantly strong. That's the problem, and that's a real problem, because when the investors and the funds can see that the central bank is deadlocked in taking something in a certain direction, and it won't let go. It's not a good thing. There's the zloty. Look at the zloty. Look, what a great currency. The Polish have really figured out economics really well. I can tell you that the immigrants in the United States, the Polish immigrants, have been very successful business people throughout the decades and centuries. So it doesn't surprise me any. Once they got free from the Soviet Union and somewhat independent of the European Union, that they're going to do very well. No wonder the country is like the second largest industrial nation on the continent now. Their currencies, obviously at one time, currencies really did reflect good management, political management, economic management. They really did. They really did reflect those things. Now in this era, anything goes. But there's always the anomaly out there, like the zloty against the euro, where you can see it's just barely, it's barely moving. It's wonderful. It's very fixed. That's a sign of a very well managed economy and government, when your currency doesn't go from like 1.5 to 12 or something like that, or in the case like I'm thinking about the Turkish lira, where under the same political leadership, their currency has gone from like 1.5 all the way up to 9, or 8.5, something like that. That's a pretty dramatic move. It's like 6 times. That's not good. When you live in that country, it's hard. That's tough inflation. That's that Wehrmark or whatever it was, Weinmark, where they were using barrels of money to buy a loaf of bread. Not barrels, wagons or wheelbarrows. Crazy times. All right, I don't think we see anything else jumping out at us currency-wise. There's an interesting one. Aussie yen. Kind of flatline-ish. Let's see if we can tighten this up. Yeah, that's kind of a good pairs trade too, isn't it? Look at that. For 3 months, almost, 3 full months. 2, 3, 4 full months. Product has been tracked between 82 and 85. That's pretty good, percentage-wise. And that's what we're always looking for. Is we're looking for well-managed currencies that don't get taken off, to a dramatic move. Instead, they just kind of stay steady and calm, and they don't just freak out the population. I mean, we're seeing it here in the States. The inflation is everywhere, and the government is denying it, which no wonder they haven't been able to win elections. The Republicans have been winning seats, and you can see what's going on in New York City. This has to be shaking up the economic side of it. The fellow won on the Democrat ticket that everybody didn't want to win when it comes to the Democrats. The Republicans thought it was okay. He was an ex-police officer. Adam, I think his last name is. And supposedly he won big. And then all of a sudden, just like they did to Mr. Trump, the next day, all of a sudden, after the election's over with, mysterious votes come in. Now it's a tie race. It's like, what? It doesn't stop, does it? It gets it's just crazy. I'm amazed. It is amazing. It's the measurement of the dollar, and compared to the news, compared to the politics, okay? So you got the news supporting the administration. So they're saying one thing, everybody's shaking their heads and not believing it anymore, making it very blatant to the point where people don't trust the news. Then the administration says one thing and does another, and people are seeing that. That's the problem, is that they're actually physically seeing it. And so how longer can the dollar just keep on riding like this? You know, when is the Fed desk going to say, okay, this is enough? Probably after Mr. Biden loses all these attempts to spend about $4 trillion. That's probably, we're probably seeing the strength in the dollar locked into or connected to Mr. Biden's push to raise taxes and borrow $4 trillion to spend. And I'd imagine once that disappears and it's clear that it's not going to happen, then you would have to think that the dollar could back off. That's the way I see it. Alan says, all my building materials are up by 15 to 25% coming in from China and Europe. Right, yeah, it's everywhere like that. You know, we saw, you know, dollar board foot go up to $16, now it's down to about 9.5, 10. But they're not exactly lowering the rate at the stores, you know, at the producers, you know, the retailers itself. You know, the producers have held the price up very well. All right, traders, it's Friday. We're going to get out of Dodge. We will catch you all on Monday. We'll see what the currency... Oh, wait, yeah, Monday's a holiday here in the States, so it's going to be very quiet type of trading. We'll see, unless there's some type of world calamity. So, the U.S. holiday's on Sunday, and the exchanges are closed on Monday. So, I'll be here. Doc will be here. So we will catch you on Monday. TGIF and Doc saying arrivederci. Happy trails to you until we meet again, which will be Monday. Happy trails to you, to all our cyber trading friends. Enjoy, guys. Ta-ta and gals.